blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youth. Teaching youths to die and go to heaven. It didn't work. Teach the youths to believe in Jesus. Oh, it never worked. Teach the youths about Hail Mary. Oh, it never worked. So you can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youths. You can't blame these youths of today. You can't fool the youths. You can't come with more brainwashing, cause remember your brain gonna crashing. You can't come with no more brainwashing, cause remember your brain gonna crashing. So you can't blame the youths of today.
Yes. Good night to all our listeners at home and abroad. This is Gem FM. I'm your host, the Sheriff. Alongside me, my co-host Ann Booker and Pastor Daphne as part of the spiritual oversight in this time. And Counselor, yes, Pastor Daphne, a woman with a lot of wisdom, been around the town in a good way. Yes, have been involved in many good things in the city of Toronto, representing the people of Toronto in a very good way. And I want to say thank you, Pastor Daphne, for your time that you have taken off of your busy schedule. When at your age, when you should be resting and sleeping at this time, you know, you answer the call of duty. You're a real trooper. And to my cousin Anne, who again tirelessly working hard too, and still finding time to come at this time of the night, I want to thank both of you very much. And for being here. And the topic of discussion tonight, I think we all understand and we know what's going on in our city, the level of gun violence that is taking place, and not just the violence, but the age group of the persons involved in the gun violence. And we ask the question, who parenting those children? So tonight, we're going to look at youth, gun violence, and parenting as our topic tonight. So if you're out there in the audience and you may be a victim, be a parent, be a cousin or auntie or uncle, and you wish to call in tonight, the number is 437-980-7467, and you can be taking part in this conversation. It is about all of us. Gun violence, concern, and it should be a concern of every one of us in every neighborhood. I have lived in the belly of the gun in my neighborhood. I have seen gun violence. I've seen violence in my neighborhood. People ask me, why are you living here? Why are you living in this neck of the wood? Not too long ago, about 2 Sundays ago, 10 p.m., 10:05 p.m., gunshot rang out in front of my house. About 7 shots went off. And nobody got killed, but I was just testing the gun out or whatever. But the time the police came, everybody scattered, you know, nobody. And there was no gathering there anyways. There was no loud music and nothing like it normally would have be the case of gathering. The street was just quiet. And all of a sudden, we came out from CNE, came inside and, you know, tired as we were, went to bed and just at 10 o'clock. And just 10:05 when I heard the first burst of gunfire. Then I turned around 2 minutes later, another shot went off, and that was it. And Jerry says, "Daddy, what was that gunshot?" I said, "I don't know." I look outside and see one guy walking out from the barber shop in the back, and you know, nothing happening. But it's all too often. I live here. I didn't see the person's face, but a guy fired a shot across my neighbor's house, and that house again lost a son. The lady lost a son just 2 doors down in 2007, November 11. She lost her son to gun violence right across the street from me, and just right in the same house that young man came from, someone who was renting that house thereafter was shot at, and he bent down to pick up something, and the gunshot went right over his head. I remember just moving here Belle was sick, lying on the bed, and I went to put some food in the microwave, and I go pop 200, and just saw the gunshot went off right as that, and people started running and screaming all over the place. I run outside to see what was going on. Can you imagine people running from gun and running to it? Just a soldier taking me going to see what's going on.
Yes.
And I saw two men holding the abdomen. I don't know why he shot me for. And next one, take one, put in a car, drove to the hospital or whatever. Ambulance came, took another one away. And one man on the ground was just moaning and going into his death. His girlfriend who held him in her arms. Don't go, crying, don't go. But he didn't make it. He died in her arms right in front of the bus stop. So I've seen too much of it. I saw a guy came out from a car and give a guy what they call a clothesline in wrestling. Give him a clothesline and drop him on the ground. Tell him to chat too much, washing dishes one evening, the next one push up the next one to drink out his item. He see too much, So the violence is wrong. And then the blazing guns on the street, you have a carjacking, and the people doing it is 13, 14, 16, 18, 20-year-old young men.
Very young.
All right. So the violence seems not to cease. I remember in 1991 they called it the summer of the guns, but that summer of the guns never go away. It's keep escalating up to 120, 25 murders, gun violence in the city now. So, and the parent is not old men, it's young boys, young black boys, who are the victim in most cases like that. So I am very much concerned, not just for my daughter, but also for other young men in the society, more so about the parents, who the parents are, where are the parents, who is responsible. It takes in old African adage states that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And I still have hope that we can change that through education, through involving our young people and young parents into classes and seminars, to get them and to help to proper manage their home and their children, to train up the young boys as young as 2 and culture them into becoming something more valuable than just leaving them loose to run. I often said that nothing from nothing, leave nothing.
Nothing, yes.
So in essence, for our younger parents to be able to better manage the young boys that they have in their care, both male and female, we must ensure that there is, on a community level, that there is adequate financing, adequate schooling, and proper training and becoming a parent to develop the young minds of the children that they will be bearing. Quite often, we see that there's not enough counseling done in our communities, in our churches, on parenting. We have programs and not policies. And that too plays a very important role, a part in deciphering how our community is transformed. So in essence, I hope tonight's discussion will be an advisory one, where we can help advise the young people, the young parents, to deviate their attention from the violence that plagues our society. So again, I welcome Pastor Daphne and Anne to tonight's discussion. Welcome.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Pastor Daphne, you want to lead the field, and then I'll get Anne to come in afterwards?
Yes, okay. I want to start off by saying in Psalm 18 and verse 48, it says, He delivered me from mine enemies. Yea, thou liftest me up above those that rise up against me. Thou hast delivered me from the violent man. The Bible talks about violence. It says the violent take it by force. And parenting has a responsibility. Parents has a responsibility to ensure that their children have the right skill sets when it comes to being out there in the public. I will read something that I read on a day ago. It's about parents. The board teacher wrote this, and the police stamped it with their stamp. And the stamp says, in total agreement. So here's what the board teacher wrote. It's like a little poem. It says, if you let your child argue with you, they will argue with me too. If you let your child speak in a disrespectful tone, they will take that tone with me as well. If you allow your child to break rules without consequences, they will not do what I say either. This is from the teachers. So you see, you are, meaning parents, your child's first, most important teacher. We can only build, hear that? We can only build. This is the teaching, and the police as well, the penal system, on the foundation you laid at home. So it's about foundations. It's about parenting skills, being able to talk with your child. And instead of arguing, instead of child arguing, we let them know that you are the parent. And you're not just parenting, you're not speaking to them because you want to and because they can respond back to you, but you want them to do it properly, respectfully. You want them to grow up with that and speak in a proper tone. You know, if you notice nowadays, when you're calling banks and governments, they tell you right away, their customer service reps are not going to take any nonsense from anybody. You cannot take the tone when you're looking for service. You have to realize that you need something and they have what you want. And in order to get it, you have to know how to ask for it in a proper manner so that they will be doing it for you with pleasure, because, you know, service is what we do. And as Christians, we are here to serve. And many of our parents who are Christians, you know, our children run out, you know, the enemy comes behind the children of Christian parents, because the ones out in the world, they already have them. But in order to get yours, they have to come within the framework of where the kids are, which is the school environment, the park, you know, the football field, the basketball field, and they go swimming, wherever they go, activities, athletics, etc., etc. So different types of training, you know, is their face. My eldest grandson, he played soccer, he was an MVP before he finished high school, and then he went into a soccer school in Atlanta, very strict school. One of the things they were able to look back and say about him was he was so respectful. Because you have to give them that ground to be. You prepare them. A lot of things take place. I talk about that, you know, because we have to go deep into this. But it's just my opening statements.
Daphne breaking up. I don't know why. Yeah, you there? I said Daphne.
Yeah, I said I'm going to give someone to add so they can come back on.
Yeah, I don't have. Okay, Anne, your turn. Go ahead. Welcome again.
Thank you, John, for the invite again, and hi, Pastor Daphne. It's great to be here. again tonight on the show. What I'd like to say is, Pastor Daphne, I made a great comment a couple of shows back when she said we still have the slave mentality. We're too harsh with our own kind. And it got me thinking,
Yes.
There's a lot of anger in our community. Angry about everything. There is not enough love, which is the foundation and the basis. When our kids are babies, we hug them, we hold them. Once they get to a certain age, 1 year, 2 years, we stop doing that. And you find that among our Black communities more, that there isn't enough love. We don't show our kids enough love. And influences, like, yes, the respect is there, has to be taught at home. A lot of things has to be taught at home. But there are so many influences that our children go through. What they see on TV, how to answer back. They would answer you in a certain way that, where did you hear that from? And of course, it's from TV or the other friends. I think generally we somehow have to scrap the whole system and start from the bottom up again with parenting, because that is a major failure. And we have a lot of single parents, and that is a real big issue, because I think basically our parents need a course. I know some would argue that they're too busy, they don't have time, there are lots going on, they have so many worries on their hand, they have to worry about shelter, food, transportation, finding a job, and all those things, and then finding education. And then comes the part where you find our young kids, they don't have extracurricular activities. And that is a real drawback. There is so much fear in the community that when children should be outside playing and running around and getting involved in sports and other activities, some can't for fear of the neighborhood that they live in. And you find that fear is there, and then the influences that they have, once they start going to school, if you do not have a foundation where you, an acceptable code where you train or you teach your kids how to act, how to behave, you find that they are all over the place, and kids are very easy to be influenced. And you find that our Black kids, as you said, are disproportionately the ones that are influenced that way, because they feel they don't have the things like others may have. They don't get the love like others may have as well, because our parents don't have enough time to spend with their kids. Help them with their homework. They probably don't even know how to help them with the homework as well. Sit down, talk to them, get them, like, play games with them, have them involved in extracurricular activities. And the parents has to be involved as well. They have to be right there with the kids. And it has to start from a very early age. It has to continue. The love you show them as a baby, you have to continue to hug them, show them before they leave for school, you give them a hug, you give them a pat on the back, you give them some encouraging words. You have to be there when they come from lunch, when they come in the evening time. There has to be a certain pattern that you have to continue regardless of how, what and how your kids feel. You always have to show that you love them. And that is lacking. That is lacking in our Black community. We find our parents are not there. Now, we have to start from the foundation. What are we going to do about that? How are we going to educate the parents? Like, who's gonna step up to the platform? Because if we leave it to the parents to come to a seminar, chances are they will not be there. How do we mobilize our parents? Go door to door? How do we make them make the time? So anybody else have any other thoughts? Because there is so much going on, because our kids today, the violence there, sometimes it's initiation into a gang, it's targeted, it's there is so much going on, and it's influences from other from the friends, that the people that they meet, the people that they feel comfortable being with, talking to, and the influences of the people around them. And it's hard to get away from that because it's all on TV.
Yeah.
It's all there on TV, so it's hard to get. It is real tough. It is real tough having a youngster growing, having a kid, growing them up in this day, because for the parent there is the fear out there that something is always going to happen to that kid. And that is so much stress.
The bigger question though, why is there so many young black men, not young black women? That to me the bigger question, because you have both in the society. You find that the girls stay in school longer, they graduate, they go to universities, and they get their careers together. But the young men seems to be dropping out at a higher rate, and find themselves becoming the father that abandon the children with the girls that get pregnant, to those who have to drop out of school due to pregnancy, something like that. So how do we get to those kids, those children, before they get into parenthood? How do we get that? Because when we look around, the age group that is falling apart, really, not the 40-year-old, is this 15 and 16-year-old. And you correctly said, parents don't even have the time to spend with the children. They're trying to do 2-3 jobs to pay up the mortgage. They'll be a single mother, even a husband and wife, still trying, and the children left by themselves. And parenting become an issue here. And how do we get the parent out? I remember being on the board, the parent teacher board at Genesis School. And the thing about it is, when they call the meeting, only 2 of us show up. Black parents. The other black parents, they're not showing up. And the question is that they have to work. They're working. So that is another problem. You see, they working night. Sometimes one person working night, one person working day to stay the children. But then when they stay the children, what are they doing with the children? And again, what kind of community activities do we have for children? I know that they have programs in the library for young children, but what happened after 18, after 12, after 13? How do we create the space for the 12 and 13-year, 15-year-old, 18-year-old? Young man especially? How do we get them to participate? How do we get the parents to be aware? And something, I remember seeing a documentary in 2002, it was, on immigrant children. And that was a very revealing video for me. The children that came to Canada, after being away from the parents for so long, they become angry. Here's the reason why. When the mom and dad was over here, they were sending them the Reebok, the Nike, the Jordans, all in fancy clothes, with a care in the world how mommy got it, how daddy got it. The pictures that they took out and sent to the children, that's where they live, where they're living in home as a nanny. The picture, that's where they live. That explains to the children that they work in the house and they have to go home to their apartment building at the basement where they are. That wasn't told to those children. When the children came to Canada, they find themselves in a basement somewhere, or an apartment building. One young man said, ask his father one night which room they were sleeping in tonight. We go back in the same room because that's where he lived. The picture he sent, that's where they live. So this child and the mother posing in a car that she has, a BMW or whatever, her boyfriend car at the time, that's considered her car. And this kid come up now, and mommy and that guy not together again, and this guy is no longer available. And then he look around and he saw young men his age having the things that he always used to have. And going to school, find out how some of them got it. And they introduced him to a system of drugs, gun, and violence. See? So they get indoctrinated into that lifestyle. And they feel in order to have it, as mommies will give them, they have to do drugs to get it. And some of the parents are enjoying the luxury of those giftings of buying the house and the cars from the people who do the drugs. So they live that lifestyle. And the son comes in and starts doing the same thing, start buying the house for mommy, buy the car for mommy, and she's okay with it once he's not killed. But she wouldn't tell him, don't get involved in that, don't do it. She know he's not making that money, honestly working. They know it. Your 18-year-old son can bring and buy a Mercedes Benz for $57,000, $60,000, $90,000. Where is he getting the money from? And the parents gladly accept those vehicles. They even buy a house is in their names for them, not in their name, but in the parents' name. And before you know it, the mom and that enjoying that lifestyle. So what happens? This child turned to a life of drugs and crime and violence, in a sense. How do we change that culture? We have to find those young mothers, what they call them now, baby mama. Yeah. And get to them and help them to raise those young boys that they will have in their arms, in their possession. Because that's where you have to take it from the cradle to the grave with them. Help them there. Because once, without no help, they become frustrated themselves and give up when the child having temper tantrum, so to speak. They left them at 2 and no other counseling, no other helping, and say they withdraw. They start becoming violently disciplinarians towards those children. And that doesn't help. And the children see violence, like Anne says, they hear the cussing, they hear the shouting, the screaming, and that's the way to deal with the problem. So they go about out in the society and they do it the same thing, because that's what they see. And we mentioned here on this show and other shows on Gem FM that the first institution of the society is the home. The home is where everything starts. The hospital, the primary school, the secondary school, the college and university is the home is that where that take place. And if we don't fix them there, it becomes difficult for the teachers, the police officers to deal with them. And if those officers and those teachers are not trained to counsel, they learn to teach maths, English, and science, and they have no human psychology knowledge, those children will be lost in translation. It's a sad reality, but that's what it is. How do we help those parents and the teachers to better cope with those children who have behavioral problems by design, to no fault of theirs? But what they see happening in the home, they act it out in the school. And before you know it, they get kicked out of the school, or they get fed up, and because nobody helping them, teachers don't want to help. And if they're willing to help, they have an attitude to receiving help from the teachers. I see it happen in school here. I've been to school, I see people who get kicked out of primary school, secondary school, and they come into evening adult classes, giving the same attitude that they had in the school they get kicked out of. I had to pull up a young man one time, and I said, bro, this is not the way to do it. Here, we had a Trinidadian teacher, older man already, he was probably almost 70 years, still trying to help the young people. And most of the classes were Black youths and Black people. And most of them were Black kids drop out trying to make it into college. They'll come and get English to make the prime time. And this young man will come and give him trouble, dressing, pants down, walking in class when he want. And when the teacher talk to him, he said, don't chat to me like that and stuff like that. So one day I had to have a talk with him, and we had a conversation. He came in the class one evening, he was well dressed and prepared himself, and Mr. Somebody man named, which young guy, he asking, what changed? Nobody answered. I didn't answer myself. After class, I went up to him and told him I had a discussion. I had a conversation with that young man. And one day I was in Eglinton. I heard this name shouted out from a distance, John! Look around, the young man with a tie in his neck, well-dressed, driving a Jeep, a Jeep Cherokee. He tell me, thank you. And he's now working at Bell. Yeah? He's well-cultured, well-mannered. And, not because me, then he took stock of himself and changed his life. So sometimes they need somebody to talk to them. Really. He had no father in the home, just his mother. He was angry for a lot of things, not school, but angry from home. And they need somebody else to talk to have them sit down and have this conversation with them. Because the life is before them. And if you don't get that one, You might lose, get 1 and lose 10. But if you get 1 out of 10, you could save a life. And we have to find one, at least one, change one at a time, and talk to them. That's why I love the Big Brother situation thing. But more men, more Black men, more adult Black men, responsible Black men have to get involved in that program and help to raise those young men. Pastor Daphne, was it you last week that the lady called in and asked for help for a friend's son? Well, she called me and I discovered that it's not a single mother, but a single father that was having problem with the son. So she said she took on herself to ask for help for him, but she's supposed to get back with me if he will allow to get the help, but she haven't gotten back to me yet. So I gave her your number, and I gave her Kim's number. But I know she contacted you, I contacted Kim to get help for that young man, because he's about to get kicked out of school. He had been suspended, but the father gave up. So fathers like that need help as well. And we stuck with one of those fathers, a single father parent trying to raise a child by himself, and he gets fed up with it as well. So we have to look at how we can help parents parent their children to stop them from eroding out of the arms of greatness into one that is destructive, not only to them, but to the community. Because every life that we lost, it's put a deficit in our community. We have to take control. And here is the reason why I say the church must be more involved and more engaging in our communities than just a Sunday morning service, asking for tithe and offering. We have to be more involved, get counselors. Don't depend on just government, but we have to find counselors to help our community, reach out. If we go door to door to meet parents and talk to them and have this conversation, ice cream and cake evening, let them come out all long evening, just a tea evening for free. We could have this session to talk to them and engage them. Let them speak what the problem is and how we can get help for them and their children. Stop here for now. Anybody could kick in. And our Pastor Daphne. And you're muted, Pastor Daphne. I think you're not muted.
Yeah. John, you said a couple of very interesting things.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Pastor Daphne.
Pastor Daphne is stuck somewhere. I think check your mic system. Check your mic. I think there is a in your maybe you're too far away from it or something. It gives us static. Okay. Try it now and see. Speak static. Yeah. Most of them happen maybe sometimes. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. No, it's still breaking up. It's still breaking up. But Pastor Daphne, I think you can try. I don't know why. We're not hearing you. You're spotting. Yeah.
Hold on. Off. It's different.
You're breaking up and it's choppy.
I'm looking at a new.
I feel your bandwidth or something.
Oh, okay. Yes.
No, we're still the same way. Still choppy. Okay.
It's
really bad. Okay, go out and come back in, Pastor Daphne. Go out and come back in. and see if they're gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a song. I take a song and come back. All right, pass it up the chat. Yeah.
Can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth. And you can't fool the youth. Teach the youth to learn in school that the fish ran away with spoon. Teach the youth to learn in school that the cow jump over moon. So you can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth of today. You can't fool the youth. You teach the youth about Christopher Columbus, and you said he was a very great man. You teach the youth about Marco Polo, and you said he was a very great man. You teach the youth about the pirate Hawkins, and you said he was a very great man. You teach the youth about the pirate Morgan, and you said he was a very great man. So you can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. You can't blame the youth. None at all. You can't fool the youth. Cause all these great men were doing, robbing, raping, kidnapping, and killing. So all great men were doing, robbing, raping, kidnapping, and killing. So you can't blame the youth.
Okay, Pastor Daphne is back. You can't blame the youths. We gotta teach them, educate them. Yes, I think there was a song from Grenada.
That's so true. So how is it now? Much better? How's the reception?
I'm getting a feedback from your end. Yeah, I heard myself twice. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Okay, I think it's okay. Okay, I'm not hearing myself again. No, I still hearing. You have your mic on, your volume on.
yeah, but I know just using volume on the
Wow, it's terrible still. Still hearing myself twice.
Wow. Let me see if I can if I comment on my phone, I'll try my phone and see if I can comment on my phone.
All right, try your phone and see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youths. Teaching youths to die and go to heaven. It didn't work. Teach the youths to believe in Jesus. No, it never worked. Teach the youths about Hail Mary. No, it never worked. So you can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youths. You can't blame these youths of today. You can't fool the youths. You can't come with more brainwashing, cause remember your freedom a crashing. Can't come with no more brainwashing, cause remember your freedom a crashing. So you can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youths. You can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youths. I don't want to go to heaven, for we shall inherit the earth. I don't want to go to heaven, for then we shall inherit the earth. So you can't blame the youths, you can't fool the youths. You can't blame the youths of today, you can't fool the youths. Amen. You got to fool.
Yes, you can't blame the other things that I have going on here. I gotta change. Another upgrade is get a new mixer. Yeah. Yeah, it's a new mix. I have to be fun. I have two, but I don't know why there should be lasting 5 years, but go down in 6 years, but become redundant. The other one, the substitute one, I had to use it, and it gone through as well. You have the same problem, even worse than this one, and then I gotta get some new mics again to the mics. Yeah, so that's one of the dilemma you have. Yeah, but yeah, what do we think of Pastor Daphne? Ann, go ahead.
Certainly. I was saying, you said a couple of interesting things. You said, why is it mainly the young men? The young girls continue in school, they go on to college, they get their degree. But let's take a look back. The young men that drop out of school get involved in drugs, in gangs, in violence. Who do they date?
The same girls. The same girls.
So it's like it's going back into a circle.
Yeah.
Because then they have babies at a very young age.
Yes.
So we find that the parents are very young.
Mm-hmm.
They date most likely the girls that have finished high school, want to go on for further education, but didn't get there because they're dating these. They're dating the black, the young black
guy with it,
and they're having kids, and they're also enjoying the benefits of the cars, the houses.
Exactly.
It's a circle. Like, how do you break that circle? How do you get in there? How do you crack the code? What is the code? Like, how do you stop that cycle from going around and around and around?
Exactly.
And the babies grow up without love again, and the same sort of what they see from the parent, what they enjoy, it's very hard. What's the Pastor Daphne? And it's very hard for them to get, to change what's going on. And how do we stop that, the cycle? Then there's the other thing where our young kids, they don't have enough opportunities. Look at the other cultures. They get involved, they have tuition, they've got extra classes where from the community, they either get it free or they get help to pay for it. And I see them loading up their kids, going every evening into a building, taking them for this extra, whether it's math, English, whatever it is, English is a second language or not even that, any extracurricular activities that they can get out there, and it's mostly free.
Right.
And then we have all these different sports. We have hockey, baseball. We know our black kids love the basketball. We have cricket, all this soccer, all these games going, but it's so expensive that even if the normal kids that are not involved where they're disadvantaged in terms of having the financial, being able, they were not able to, the finances are not there for a single parent most of the time, the affordability of the equipment, of the uniforms, and all these other things. And therefore, there has to be some sort of program where we have to get involved more for those that are having volunteers or for older, from people in our community to be able to do that. We need to form fundraising, either GoFundMe or fundraising, come up with activities where we don't pocket the money. Whoever's standing at the door and collecting, don't pocket the money. Where the money
let the money flow. Yes, I agree with you.
Buy uniform to take care of honest people. We need to come up, be honest. Where the money goes to buying the equipment, buying the uniform for the kids, get them involved in team and soccer. So if they're very active, they're always there, they're very active, there isn't enough time for them to get involved in this the gang. Even though we know that the gangs are pushing, there is initiation there. It's very, very, very hard for your kids. They're going to be hounded at school. They're going to be hounded wherever they walk the streets, and they're targeting our young males. We always have to be mindful, and sometimes it's very hard to evade these guys. So this is why we always have to be vigilant. We have to find a way to break that cycle.
Yes, I want to agree with you. I want to play a video after I finish what I'm saying here, and then Pastor Daphne will comment after the video as well. There is, like you said, the same educated girls, they date the bad boys. So that's the bad boys, they're good boy. They love We hear most of those girls say they love the rough, tough guys. That's what they love. That is the same guy was in school, them that behave bad and get kicked out of school. The girls go to school, they become lawyers, they become whatever, and they date those guys, and those guys buy them stuff. They have someone to go into business with the drug money. They enjoy the benefits of it. But the same guys, they're losing their boyfriend, and they're losing them, and the children coming and getting lost through gun violence as well. So the cycle, like you said, is not a straight line. It's a circle, and it keep coming wrong and wrong and wrong, and they becoming a victim time and time again. And how the coping of those violence the women have to say, no, I'm not gonna date you if you're down that route, you know. And we have to find a way to do that. But I want to play a video from my sister in the US, and she articulated that so nicely. A lot of people might agree with her, but I think she have done a very excellent job on that piece. Check it out.
Rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the Black man is the direct cause of the breakdown in our Black family structure. Now, of course, there are many Black people who consider those fighting words, because as Black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on Black women. I have never said that all Black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done or that we do daily that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that of being my own person and I'm independent would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. We have serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida and they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a Black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about it real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. The women that had men, if they got a bunch of children, they need fathers. They need protection. We hear about the drug problem that we have in our projects across the country. It's one of the major places that we have a drug problem. We talk about the great strength that we have as Black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single Black men. Those apartments belong to Black women who are allowing this to go on in their home. We have not looked at what part of the responsibility do we share. Yes, Black men sell a lot of drugs, and a lot of us Black women get the money from them drugs and buy some of these fancy clothes we wear, drive around in some of these fancy cars. He is not doing these things alone and without support from us, whether they are good or bad. See, we have a lot of power. We are very strong women. I'm saying we're using our strength in the wrong direction. We're using it to tear our man down, tear our nation down instead of building it up. Having an education and a job does not necessarily mean you have a successful life. I keep telling Black women that to raise a child, they say, well, I provided with food, clothing, and shelter. That's not raising a child, that's maintaining one. To raise a child, you need a parental coalition of a man and a woman. We have sons who are, by not having a father in the home, they don't know how to respect women. They take on the Black female emotionalism. They're doubtful, they're indecisive, they can't make a decision. They don't know what to do about being a man, because we can't teach them that. We don't have that knowledge. We have daughters who grow up in a home where they don't see any affection, where there's no man there. They go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have no idea how to be no woman to no man, how to function in a house with a man, because they haven't seen it. Most of our children, just like us, get all the information we have about how you be with a mate off television. It's the only medium that shows us anybody being together. Those rules have not worked for us. The white woman's liberation movement, we don't have anything to do with that. We have not been under the control of the Black man for over 500 years. So what do we have to get liberated from them from? They haven't been our boss. That's the white woman and her man. They're going through that, and that's their business. We don't have any business being in there. They only introduced it to break down the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement started with the Black man, the Black woman, and the Black child standing together, trying to plead for freedom, justice, and equality, and more benefits in the country that they had to have built. They threw the white woman in there with the women's liberation movement and made it a woman against man thing. That created a big separation between Black men and Black women, because then everybody started going for self. Then they bring the welfare system in and tell us in order to feed and clothe and house our children, we have to give up our man. You have to put the man out of the house. When the white farm wife goes to the government for subsidy for the farm, they don't tell her to get rid of the farmer. They keep that family together. But in the Black community, they make it a requirement, because they want to keep endorsing into the Black community that the Black man is no good, and that he is not deserving of respect. He is not deserving of us letting him give us any protection or instruction, and that we are better than them. The major responsibility that the Black woman has had on the earth for the trillions of years that we have been here has been one of nutrition and birthing children. Those two things have a great deal to do with the survival of any people, reproduction of the nation, and feeding them the proper food so that they can live. Those are very important jobs. Those are very powerful positions, because it puts us in a position to decide who's going to live or die.
Oh, I don't know about you guys. That was a very powerful piece. Pastor Daphne? Let me just fix it. Yeah, Pastor Daphne. Go ahead.
You're on mute still.
You're still muted, Pastor Daphne. Yeah. Still muted.
Yeah, that's
right.
pretty sad, eh?
Yeah, very sad.
And that's she's Dr. King's daughter, Martin Luther King's daughter. You know, one of the things I always wondered is why it is they didn't want the Black man to be included in the family system of welfare.
Mm.
And it's like she said, the truth of the matter is just to break down the Black man, because we had a very strong family network from the beginning of time. So it's a problem. It's been a problem since that time, and we haven't fought for it, you know.
It's by design, yeah.
Yeah, it was a design of things, the same way the penal system has been built, you know, by design. Yeah. So we do have to find and create ways. There's so many creative ways to do that. Remember, they used to have the program where the young males were initiated, you know, bringing up into manhood when they reached 13, like they do the baptism for the Jews. Yeah. And of course, we are part of the Jewish nation. So those things we don't have, you know, but when I look at the sadness of this whole reproduction, you know, and as you talk about it, reproduction, you know, agriculture was part of our natures, you know, to provide food. And, you know, the Bible tells us that the husband goes out to the field and the wife buys a piece of land, and she does things around the house, and he goes out there and he plows a bigger piece of land. So, you know, that's part of our structure, but yet still it's not taught going down the corporate, you know, down the ladder from the ancients to our present day. So, you know, what is happening is that the kids are mirroring the things that are not right for them. You know, it's like a mirage, and it's sort of big them up, you know, and make them feel as though they're men, but it's not really manhood. It's just it's just a mirage of things that they have out there. So we have to find youth initiatives to get us going. You know, remember the years when the kids were in cadets and scouts and you know, and brownies and stuff like that.
I think one of the things that we, you know, when you look at some culture, they bring their culture here with them. But one thing that I see we do a lot, we love to party. But on a community basis, we don't have those classes in our communities. Because if Anne says she's having a party at her home tomorrow,
everybody's there. She have no room.
I could bet you she'll get 100 people showing up.
No room.
With beers in hand. You know what I'm saying? We're having a party for my birthday, and everybody will make the time to come to that party to party.
Oh, yes.
But let's say we have an educational system where we educate and discussing family matters, how to raise our children in the 21st century. If you find five parents come out.
You're lucky.
You're lucky. I see it happen. So even when I try to organize stuff like that, you get a no ball, you know? But have food. Everybody shows up and the party have a good time. So I think one of the things I take away from this is that, like Anne was saying, who are those girls dating? And they are the beneficiaries of the drug business. Then the system tells you, you can't, I'll give you a house, but you can't bring your man in, but the man, they're having children. So why not cultivate, put the family together?
And you know what? Think about it. When I was much younger, and I worked in one of these offices, it says on the check that they get, right? It used to say this. If your situation change, let us know right away. Meaning that if you're pregnant and you're going to have another child, let us know right away. So they will change the amount that you get on the check. That's how devious it was. You know, it doesn't, I don't think they do it anymore, but it used to be that way.
And then those girls go out and get pregnant because they do work, some don't work. They go to school become a career and having children. And they're getting the money, not little money. They're getting big money because they have no income, so they're getting like $300 per child. You see? And when you see them,
that now.
They have more nails and more eyelashes than anybody else. I see it happen. You know? So
that's a norm. That's a norm. That's a norm.
And I have nothing about beautifying. I want dressing and looking good. But the money, so I'm taking, instead of taking and put towards even the child education and get a child to different programs that cost money, and taking them to places that they get training for their children, they spend most of it on themselves. I see it happen. But
the programs, a lot of these programs, they get them free too.
Yeah.
Because you just have to register for them at a certain time, you know, but not even many of them don't do.
Pastor Daphne, what I've noticed before Anne coming, what I have noticed in a lot of people I've interacted with, even whether they involved in the welfare social services system, they're just glad for the paycheck, and what they do within that time, that's what they do. Okay. They're not really leading people into programs that will benefit even their communities. They're not getting too involved in either. They go to work from 9 to 5 and 9 to 4 or 7 to 3 and they're out, you know, and they don't source out funding for the communities, and they know it's available. They see other cultures coming and get it doing, and they say, well, the leaders in the community are not doing it. Once you involve in that environment, you become a leader responsible to get the funding, to direct people to the funding. Call up some people and say, look, there is funding for such and such program in the Black community as well. There's $3 million, $10 million available for that project. You could get part of the pie and organize yourself to get it. I could show you what to do, and that is not done.
Now here's the other thing about that, because I had one of the first few Black organizations in the late 60s, early 70s. Okay, With that organization, it was called the Affinity Youth Interlink Network Foundation. Okay, I still have it. It's been a registered organization. I haven't re-registered, but I think I'm going to re-register. And I'll tell you what the problem is. I had a board of 12 people. I created a huge program. The government accepted it, and we're getting funded. The problem with our community is this. People see you start something. You give them a package with everything you need to know and do for this organization. And when it's time to get together, you can't find them because they've got a package that's going to help them to start one. And then that organization they start doesn't even last as long as a snowball in the sun. And that was one of the biggest problems we had. So there's a few people that today do have organizations from that same organization. But what they don't understand is at the end of the day, when you register something, you're needed. I use my organization into Caribana with the youth, with culture and coming out of it. So up till today, as we speak, Hamilton Carnival came out of the organization because of the people seeing what could be done. The government will give you a lot of places. I had Scott Wesley House and I had Malvern Community Center at the time to work with, and parents. Let me tell you about parents. You tell them, okay, fine, we have a monthly meeting. They will drop the children and drive off.
It's a time for them to be
Scott
for
Wesley House is a heritage home with everything in it. They wouldn't even come in to see what the Scott Wesley House looks like. So, you know, it's very discouraging when you look at our people and they complain and they say, oh, this and you can't complain when you're not supportive. You can't complain when you're not going to be there to see what your child is doing. Because remember, kids love their parents to be there when they are achieving things, you know, and then you drop them off and, you know, then you have to go. So, you know, I got tired because, you know, I had I kept latchkey kids, you know, when I had my kids who were younger and I stayed home. And what was that? The latchkey kids was, and City TV has they did a video, I think Jackie Milzerek, she did her master's in communications by doing the interview with me. And what, you know, the thing is having them to come and say, you know, okay, fine, we're having something, be there. We had the dance company with Martin Pascal's, a lot of the kids went into dance from there, you know. So if we are a community that would try and understand that we have to be supportive, and we have to have that respect for ourselves and our children so that we can get them together and do the things that will really take them to the next level. There's so many children that are gifted kids and they haven't had a good opportunity in life, you know. And this is why the pipeline is, and the government themselves, they get upset. I took 30 Division to Malvern when I saw the children were getting into heading to high school and getting into higher grades, and they could work part-time. And that Malvern Town Center was just new. And everybody that owned a business in there brought their own people in, and the kids in the community could not get a job. So these are some of the things we have to look at and realize that we have to build our community. We have to build our community. And this is the thing is, you know, you've got Gem FM and people don't want to support. $5 is too much for people to hand out. You know, I'm sorry to say, but you know, I know what it is to look on the outside and look at how people do things. I've had, you know, I've done a lot of projects and written a lot of projects, project management, you know, letters to do things and get things done, you know. They're not willing to come and they're not willing to learn. But you know what they like? Most of our people in our community, unfortunately, we are pretty much like what the enslavement owners did with us, put us on show. We just want to be there, you know. The cameras are rolling,
and they want to be there.
rolling, they become like this. Look at me. I want you to see what I'm talking about. Watch me. You see this? They have the little folder with everything on it and a pen in their hand, and they're seen by the world. That is not doing anything for the community.
You know, before Ann come in here, I know go roll back to the video, but you know, I've spoken to a lot of different people. I have had in 2008, 2007, 2008, yeah, after Bill died, I was the deacon responsible for economic development at my church. So I do I call what do you call a business. Oops, I think nobody's hearing me out there. Wow, we were hearing ourselves. Sorry. We have had a business seminar, sort of a presentation, a business presentation. I invited all the people in the church who had a business to come and showcase their business. So I can have a business symposium, and one person showed up. You know, all the people who have business in the church. Then I organized a seminar, right? Live your best life now. Thereafter, 5 people from the church showed up. 29 people from outside that didn't come to church, don't go to church at all, showed up to the seminar. I had an insurance guy, I had a funeral guy, and I did my presentation myself, right? And it was $20 for the seminar. I know that seminar would have cost anywhere between $150, $200 to attend a seminar like this. Right? We had meals, we had food we had food, refreshment. I'm talking about good finger foods, right? There's another sister volunteer to prepare all the meals, and they cook the soup right here and everything here, right over to the church. 29 people, actually 30 people from outside the church came in, and a church of almost 300 people. 5 people showed up, 5, 6 people showed up from the church. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5 people from the church showed up. Can you imagine?
Because Brother John, you know what our problem is? We just, if it was us, we all want to be in the position of
but watch this. But watch this. That brother came in from India. He was a Muslim, become Christian. He came to the church. Watch this, eh? Everybody wanted a blessing. He said, everybody sold $200. The same people in that church went up and sold $20 expecting a blessing.
And they will we take our money.
They took the money and the guy left. He left.
And never came back.
Never came back with all the money that they was doing into him, because they so into his life, hoping that they'll get a blessing. I watched it, and I said,
you know what? This is what the Arabs said about us. The Arabs said that about us. And the thing about it, we have been beaten down so badly that we all need healing.
But I think we are aware of it. We just not focusing on what we and taking the demand for ourselves and doing. If I could do what I'm doing here, there's a lot of people who could do different things. They have
so many things.
Dreams. They have things to do things, but they're lazy and looking for a hand or without taking a start of everything for themselves. All right, I'll go to Ann. You've been with me for a while.
I'm listening to the conversation, interesting conversation. You know, but going back to the video, and talking about the welfare and the housing, that is deliberate, because you find that way back, there were more married Black people than, you know, the status quo, and than the other races, a lot of the other races. And this is a plan, something, how to separate them. So they said, well, if you leave your husband, you've got a couple of kids, you can't afford to, you said you can't afford to buy, instead of giving help. This is how welfare was created. You've got to leave your husband, and then you can get some help for your kids. That's the only how you can get some help for your kids. So that's a deliberate plan. It seems as though we're always swimming against the tide. We can't get a break. And when we do, the mentality is there, as Harriet Tubman said, you know. I could have helped a lot more people if only they realized or they knew that they were slaves. And we just can't seem to get a break. And when we do, as I said, no, John, you had said stuff that Black people or people from our community love is to party. And when you have when you organize all these seminars, no one showed up. Well, then we have to bring it to them. So if they like parties, when the party starts, that's when you would have to start your motivational speech. We'll have to bring it to them. Find a way. We have to fight against the current. We cannot have them come to us if they're not coming. We have to bring it to them. So we have to find alternative ways. We have to make a way. Like the Iodong. This is how you start the Iodong. When the opening ceremony, the opening speech for the Iodong, you have someone there from the community, like Pastor Daphne, somebody have a group of people there. We go to them. So we have to find new ways, innovative ways. We have to bring it to them. The same thing where the parents just drop off the kids. We have to have talent show where the parents are involved. We see all of this.
That's right.
Either the parents are there singing with the kids, or they're there dancing with the kids, or there's a match against the parents and the kids. We have to find a way. We're great thinkers. We are people with initiative. We just have to use it. The ones that are here like us that love to organize and have these things, we have to get out of the mode of the mode. This is what others are doing, and we have to follow the same path. We have to be leaders and not bosses, not followers. We have to find a way to get our Black community involved, and we have to put our think tank mind together and figure out how are we going to do it? What do we like, and work with that.
Yeah, and you're right about that. You know, I spent about 6-7 years as a think tank, but the problem is, you know, is putting people together. You know, like we have to have timelines. If you're going to get involved in a certain things, you got to spend 5-6 months to get it done.
Yeah.
Your first 3 months is hearing what you have. Your first 3 months is planning, putting it, you know, hearing what you have, and then enhancing what we're going to do for you. Because we have so much opportunities to do things, you know. And like Brother John, you were saying about their grandson. Listen to me. I had counselors, you know, even when I was appointed on council, they would send me the book with all the grants. And you know what? Most of the people I met, they wanted to be my friend just to find out what grants are available and how much it was. And my thing was, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? I'm going to try and see if I can get Jean Augustine to come on. She was up to last year. She said, Daphne, come on, you got to get this thing back on track, you know, because
I think we need to have a community-based organization. I mean, even with Gem FM, I'm of Gem FM doing those things because, you know, over the last 3 months, I've been looking at some stuff. I've been listening to people and asking people questions, and I'm getting feedback voluntarily from people that I've spoken to, right? I just know how to, that's part of my training. So I know how to interrogate, talk to people and get information from them. And I've discovered that people want to change. They're tired of the way they live in, right? So you ask them, what if you could have do something else than what you're doing right now, what would you have done? And they'll tell you what they want to do, right? But what they need is guidance out of the swamp.
Yes.
Yeah.
They need some rocks to cross over.
Yes. And I think we in a good place. Like Annie saying, have the oil long party, have the fest, and tell them bring a bottle. Yeah, but we will drink after the first hour. The first hour is when we will do the presentation. We will do the registration.
Brother John, that's the key. The key is you're bringing them in for what they want.
Yes.
So your thing is the seminar is in the morning from 11 to 2. Or whatever the case may be, and after the seminar,
but you don't tell them that this is the certain time. You don't tell them that when they're there.
Yes.
Well, listen. Let me tell you about something. Right in Nigeria, this guy he had a seminar coming up soon, right? And today he sent me a thing. I said, Daphne, listen to this. So I'm reading it. So he invited, I think it's 250 people to the seminar. And he sent me a little picture of the response. So what about the food? So he said to them, the seminar starts at 10:30. You got to be there on time. And what about the food? They didn't answer the question, you know. What about the food? So it's all about the food, and
Yeah.
we are people, we love to eat. So
Yeah.
basically, we
food-
have to fix it all around food.
Mm.
And you know, the thing about is once we can get a good building that will house our Gem FM and a few other things, I think we will do exceedingly abundantly well and get
Mm.
blessed by the Lord. Because there's a lot to be done, but you know, we have to be structured. You know, we
Yeah,
have to.
yeah. It
So-
is one of the things that I think our community needs.
I just want to add that
Yes.
in this before COVID, we all had to drive and meet in a building where we can sit down and talk this stuff, put the planning together. We can do it virtually now from your bedroom, from anywhere. So it should be a lot easier.
Well, we just have a webinar. Just do a webinar.
That's right. It should be, it doesn't matter where you are in Canada or around the world, we can have
Virtual.
so we need to just put that out there that we
Look.
need people to volunteer, people that have their hats on, their heads on, that are willing to do that, to join the, you know, to join the community, put our heads together, plan it out. They don't necessarily have to be on site to do
No.
it. Even here. we've
Right.
got
It can be remote and hybrid
But
at certain times.
you know what we have to do? I think it is kind of disturbing in a way. People don't gravitate to you until they know how successful you are.
That's true.
That's another thing. We're doing this here tonight, and people may be coming, they go, because it's not prime news. It's not a prime melee news. It's not somebody kill their husband or somebody stab their wife or somebody do those things. All right. It's not where the prime minister thief the money and somebody talking about that, and you know, those kind of stuff.
Their mindset.
Right? So the mentality of the people is gossip media and everything
That's
they
right.
want.
What sells?
What sells, you know, and we have to at least keep doing what we're doing and find people who want to change, really want to change. Because you'll find people doing those things. They love to party, love to do it, they love to listen to the gossip, the hype, you know, and they will listen to CNN about who killed who, prime minister this and who president do this and everything going on in the world. But what they need to do is to focus on how to better themselves and the community and the home, right? And because if the home is not right, I'm one of the advocates about this. If the home is not right, the church would not be right. If the church is not right, the community would not be right.
And it has to be a balance.
You have to be a
It
balance.
has to be balanced.
But it all starts in the home. It all starts in the home. If the home falls apart, the church falls apart, the community falls apart. We have to take responsibility from the home. And hence the reason why I firmly believe that parents must be guided. You know, no way, like I said on the Tuesday night the marriage show, that when people get married, they plan their marriage, yes, and for August, and they go to the pastor in June, July, late June, early July, and say, Tom and I getting married, and we want to marry us. And the pastor say, well, I could schedule into for every Friday for the next month, yes? And
4 days.
4 days, really.
4 hours, not even a day.
Not even 4 hours, less than 4 hours meeting, right? I've seen that. It happened to me. And I've said this, not that they don't want people to get married, but the counseling is not proper. The counseling I got for my first marriage was 3 months, 3 full months, weekends.
Oh yeah.
Friday evening to Sunday evening, 3 months. I had a place down on Danforth and Broadview and something. We had to go to that place, that seminar.
Yeah, where the brothers are.
Yeah, 150 couples was taking a seminar. Guess how many couples got married? 2.
Of course.
Because when you go through the process of living together, the do's and the don'ts, the wants and the needs, you realize that they was not ready. And they had to take further counseling. So during the counseling, people start falling off like ripe mangoes. They didn't make it through it. You know? Some people say, I remember a lady said, I didn't know you had to do all that. I didn't know this was this. And the guy said, no, I ain't doing this. And I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. And the man said, no, hell no, I'm not doing this. And we see this right there, the dysfunctionality starts, you know, and they just start falling off. The 150 just start coming down. And at the end of the seminar, we got married in June of 96. Yes. And the other police officer get married thereafter. Right? I think about 2 months afterwards, he got married. He had his girlfriend.
You know,
but the point I'm trying to make is that the counseling session get in church, it had nothing to do with how to structure family,
no.
or how to balance your life that you live and stuff like that. And all of this stuff. This wasn't discussed in the Catholic Church. Gave us a full seminar and I mean, Bella and I scored the highs in the thing because we lived together for a while. So we understood each other. She knew my songs, she knew my colors, she knew my moods, she knew everything, you know. And she would answer her question about me, and you can't answer together. She in one room also, I'm in the next room answering the same question she wanted people of your spouse, you know. And we scored 100 each in our people, right? The thing about it is, an important thing to note, even when we're talking about parenting and young people and violence, it's important to note that you don't just go out and get married. No. Yeah? You must know, and the Bible make it clear, love don't keep people together.
Yep.
And knowledge. He said, dwell with them according to knowledge. And the whole life, whole creation is about the relationship and laws. And you violate them, you become dysfunctional.
Definitely.
And we have dysfunctional families raising children, becoming dysfunctional young men and women. We have to start, again, like Anne says, probably have to throw the party, invite them to the party, and have this parenting skills session going on, have the budgetary thing going on, have the planning going on, how to plan your future, how to help you recognize your gift and talent within a marriage, and work with it that way, you know? And how to cultivate the right mindset in your children, how to identify the gifting in your children and help them to grow within that gift, and so on and so on. And when you understand that, you know, and I'm saying this to say that I'm not the perfect husband or perfect father. I may have my flaws. My daughter may tell that is this, and my wife may say, John, do this. But I am very, very much concerned about the structure that I have. So my passion for what I do, my wife sees it. My daughter sees it, so much so that she changed her course because she saw my passion and what I'm doing, how much I involve in what I'm doing. And she said, I will do it to help daddy. And if your children could see what you're doing and they buy into what you're doing,
yes,
then you know how much you're doing.
What you're doing, yes, you know what you're doing.
To force her to do it, she saw daddy being consistent, passionate, and committed to what he is doing. And if children follow their parents, and they see you doing like Anne says, they see you cussing, they see you fighting, they believe that's the best way to live because they learn from you as the best. You the adult in the house. They should take
what they said, you know, it's you are the first teacher.
So we have to create the right, I think that should be part of schooling, teaching parenting in a big way. Like someone said, you can't teach a man to become a husband. Yes, you can. There's instruction in the Bible for that. You know?
Yeah, and so much too. There's so much. There's instructions, you know, for just about everything.
How to be a wife in the Bible.
Yep, everything you need to know.
And you know, I said you could throw some of the water, but don't throw the basin. You know, there is you could be a big water in the basin at the same time, you become dysfunctional. Everything in creation is to obey a law. Everything in creation is to obey a law. And you violate the laws that governs life, you become dysfunctional. You know. So I think we have to find ways, creative ways, like Anne was saying, to find out how we can best help the young parent, the young child now in this 21st century. Seek out those young people with young boys and young parents to help them to divert them from the accident ahead. Because if we do not do that, they will continue the cycle. We have a responsibility to start break that cycle. Now, whether in the church, the community, or in the school, we have to find creative ways to keep those. Have those after school program with those young boys, especially now, and also those young girls, because those girls are influenced by the young boys as well, but they have a different mindset to get educated just in case that fail. And they go into school, they can come in and get it. Yeah. So they're taking responsibility for themselves, educating themselves, but the young man is about the money, the glitz and the glamour. They're more in it than the girls. The girls are educating themselves, well, looking good, but they educating themselves and not looking, they're making themselves look good, but not educating themselves.
Yeah,
they become the wise fool.
It's sad though. That's pretty sad, you know. Yeah.
So we have to find ways. So
and plus you could do, yeah, and you can do, you know, when you have a good community base, the government will give you programs for education, you know, upgrading and stuff. So all of that is available. It's just that we have to be more consistent, and we must, you know, start
I think probably 3 of us probably could pull at least 5 other persons together.
Yeah, listen, you don't need a big, you don't need an argumentative group. You need 5 people with the same mind.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Let me tell you, 3 people can create a big program. 5 can create the program that will be there for life.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we need to do that, because that way we could scout out and pull people in and have computer program for young people. I have a brother that is keen and computer science. We get it funding. We could help to train young men in IT, in web designing, you know, and all this stuff.
And that's what is needed.
You know, and get them accredited for it. So we can get the funding for it. And the money is there. I see people getting money for a lot of things. And when I look around, the community is still the same. And the money being spent, but the community still end up in the same problem.
For instance, Brother John, your father is a plumber. Okay. I'm just putting out a scenario. And he's a good plumber. So he took a few courses at George Brown or whichever school it is. And he has this plumber's license. Do you know he can become accredited for that?
Yeah.
And do better.
You know, something I said to someone.
For instance, you doing what you do, you can be accredited.
Yeah.
And I have the information, I can give it to you. You know, we can just do it. You know, we can do it as we are talking about this issue. I think we need to act upon it.
Yeah, we have to be able to create that impact.
Know, because people are watching and they're calling for us to do different things. You know, now, as you realize, we're spreading our wings very quickly. I even got a conversation with that. The new Prime Minister of Angola is very interested in Gem FM magazine.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because Noah was in there for his inauguration a week ago. So now, so you know, we have the talents, you know, like, and governments can give you grants to travel and do things to get for your company to give you a sabbatical to go and spend 3 months and do this here and there, you know. There's so many things we could do. It's just that we just have to get together as a team and start doing certain things, you know.
Yeah, because I'm exhausted with the level of violence that plaguing our communities.
And it's not here alone. They're taking it to the continent.
Yeah. We have that happening, and we have to find a way to bridge that gap, that generational gap with our young people, and grab them, get them in the early years, before they're 10, and then when they're 10, we still have to grab them together, and have something where they could have them participating and function and emulate them for it. Give them awards, like a token of appreciation for themselves. And also they know that they're doing something and they're appreciated for it.
Upgrade them and let them do the hands-on, and they can get their equivalents for their grades and stuff like that, and they move on. And that's doable, very much so.
And
that reminds me of going to elementary school, primary school, where you feel that you don't have money for lunch, for breakfast, and it's still in our Canadian schools as well. And that's what we have to start. So we have to find a way to fund, feed dress, take care of our, of our kids. We have to do that to have them come, to have them come and be interested, because you can't try to teach someone on a hungry stomach, really.
No, I can't.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
can't. We have to find a way. But then there are eyes out there that are looking at us. They never want the black person to come together. They never want black people. So there will be eyes on you, and that's another challenge as
Yeah,
well.
the bullseyes on your back.
It shouldn't be that much, and it shouldn't be that bad, because my children, they went to the girls went to St. Catherine of Siena in Mississauga, and I started the morning breakfast. And let me tell you what happened to this breakfast. The police, the fire, all these organizations, they brought Kellogg's, cornflakes, hot dogs. You'd be surprised to know. So at the end of the school year, we give it to a couple of the mass camps. All that was left over. We had a breakfast program that it was all donations. They
And
would bring
we need healthy foods as well.
Yes. Oh, no.
Oh,
You
yeah,
get all the
definitely.
things, whatever you want. You put, because, back then people not as healthy as nowadays. But what they did is, what do you need? And, myself and two or three women on the council, because I followed my children on school council because I want to know what's going on in the school. So the principal said, oh my gosh, look at how we feed all these people. We can do it. It's doable. All we have to do is get together. Like I said, a small team that will start doing things. And then when it gets so big, you get other people to have responsibilities within that framework, So it's doable. You would be surprised to see. So, listen, they bring the cornflakes, like a van will come and say, oh, we've got 100 boxes of cornflakes for the kids for school. No. The kids ate well, they did well, they all graduated from that school. I've done it in my youth organization as well. We got all sorts of things. So it's not to say that we can't. Even in the summertime, Canadian Tire and all these other people would do things for us,
That was then. Now it's COVID time and it's recession, and while it's heading there, it's inflation. Like how many?
But the companies are
but you know what, they use it to write off. It's a write-off.
Exactly.
It's a write-off.
That's a good thing for even now. That's a good thing for them to get rid of some of the stuff they have.
Yeah, because the things that are not going to be here for next year, they would be happy to put it somewhere.
Yes, and they claim back in the thing for
in the taxes. Yeah.
They'll be more than
it's
happy.
Part of their losses.
Sometimes we have those things happen, and I think it takes a group of people who are committed. I ain't talking about loyalty here. I'm talking about commitment and committed people, because I believe that people who are loyal could always shift their loyalty to somebody else. I love committed people. People who are committed to a cause and stick to the cause.
Yes, you have to stick to it. You have to run the course.
Yes. And people who sometimes they're just loyal because what they could get from you, and once they can't get it, they're not loyal anymore. But people who are committed, they stay committed to the cause of what you're doing and do it well. Having said that, I don't want to blow any trumpet, but I often says that children, if you stay the course with them, you stay the course with them, and you stick around them, and I'll give my wife a credit for Genesis, making sure she stay on the straight and narrow. A lot of parents don't do that. And in Genesis' case, it's not her biological mom, but she stood right up with Genesis to ensure that she do the best with Genesis, and Genesis do the best that she can. And even where Genesis is at right now, it's not just because we left her alone and my wife just left her alone.
No, you can't.
It was a commitment that was made and Taki's part to ensure that Genesis do the best and become the best in what she did. Genesis became the good of all time in her school. She was able to rise above the occasion, or she almost have about almost 30 something awards. And became the great of all time in her school. Right. So it tells a lot about
Yes.
your parenting skills and how much you're committed to your children, and ensuring that they stick to a program that would benefit them. And I said to James, what I'm doing is not about me. It's no longer about me. All I'm doing is for you, and Abby. That's where the focus is right now. And if we drop the ball, if we drop the ball, all is lost, But I'm also thanking God for the people that is involved with us, people who stick around with us to ensure, who see the vision and want to run with it. There's people who say to me, John, man, you're real committed to this thing. You're very much passionate about this thing. You know how much years you've been talking about this thing, and now I'm seeing it. There's a lady who I had on the show last week, a week before, and she said, I heard when you and your wife, your first wife, spoke about doing this radio. I was in the church. And when she just happened to just be pacing through Facebook one day, and she saw the Gem FM Genesis magazine. She said, but I know these people, And she go on the page and she make a phone call through the messenger. And she called me and said she was so excited. She like she had just won a lottery. She just won a prize, because she knew the years when we're talking about it, and it took all these years and it happened. I never gave up. And that was encouraging for her. To see someone said they'll do something and they actually follow through and they have it done. Somebody that she knew, through acquaintances, and heard that. And she didn't take much of it. But then when she saw it, she remembered those two people made a commitment to do something. And my wife's favorite word was WOW, with or without you, we're going to do this. And it's done. But I want to show you, those of you who are watching, and this is what we're planning to do. That's the future building of Gem FM. Design and plan. That's it right here. Let me put over so Anne could see it and Pastor Daphne could see it on the big screen here.
Oh, yes. Okay. I'm ready.
I'm ready to show you guys. That is Gem FM.
Oh, yeah. I see that building. Okay, good.
That's what Gem FM future building is going to be. Genesis Magazine Radio. Genesis. That's it. That will have as much facilities for a lot of things to happen in it.
Everything.
Yeah. So it's not about us, but the community that will be serving out of this building. A lot of things will happen inside this building that, even though, like I said before, and I say to say that to parents, have a plan. Let your children know what your plan. Write it, make it plain. Let them know about it. So they go see it. It's in the office, in the studio. Once you sit down behind these cameras, it's right there. It's as a reminder, this is the future. That's where we're going with this. And I've seen that to brag. I've seen that to encourage and to empower others who may think about doing something. To have a dream, have a vision. Put it up on the wall. Write it up. Write it and make it plain. Put it up on the wall. That's what he says. Yes. Yep. And so what we have to do now is build it up there. And I gave James a list of the things that are going inside to put underneath it. I'm prayerfully praying about it, that it will happen. If I don't finish it, Genesis and I are going to finish it with the people that will be on the board to help finish it.
It's going to be finished in your lifetime. Don't worry.
So what my encouragement to parents tonight in all of this is to take a serious look at oneself and ask yourself the question, where am I going? What lies ahead for me? And I asked them, and last night on the show when was the last time you evaluated you? When you take an inventory of yourself? Are you satisfied with the life you now live? Are you living the life you expect to live at 20, 25, and 30, and 40, and 50? And if not, what are you planning to do to change that? If it's not too late, Kentucky side at 65 on his retirement check. Some people side at 70, 65, 89. Some will graduate from high school at 89. Some will become lawyers at 89. See? Age is just a number. And if you can do it at 65, why you can't do it at 20? Well, it all starts in the home. I said last time, if I knew now, then what I know now, and probably I grew up a little faster, probably. I said all the time, my parents had a bakery, my grandparents had a bakery, and everybody left the bakery. It was thriving bakery, supplying bread up and down St. Andrews, right? Bosses and boys stopping my grandparents to get bread. Then they have the Tonga Sotters, where my mother and them had this store there, and my grandmother retired from it, and my mother, she and both of them used to run this store, and then they both close it down, sell it to the brother, and both come and live in the house together, and nobody opened up even a window again anywhere else, you know. And I would say, like, why my mother didn't take it over and start doing it? You know, there's other things that just was not done. You know, my grandmother had a dry goods shop, and nobody took it over. All the people who live in the house, grew up in the house, they left and going to America. And I look at them today, they're still not any better than when they left when I was a kid. It's sad. It's sad. One of my aunt died here of old age. So I'm saying to us, let us do it differently. Let's fix it. Let's break the cycle of dependency. Let's break the cycle of poverty. It also poverty almost become a mindset, a thought process. I cannot do it. I don't have nobody to help me. Well, we encouraging you. Start some things. Write it down. Write down your dreams. Write down your vision. Write down where you want to go. You know, think about your children, not just about you anymore. Think about your children. Think about your nieces, your nephews. You know, pull up some family member of yours and say, I could help you. You know, and help them do it. Because we could all pull this together. And I really would like to see us helping to curb the gun violence by starting with the younger generation.
Yes.
Because some of the people who are in the system, they go into the court, they go into the jail system, they go in and out, the prison become a vacation spot for some of those people.
Oh, yes.
They go in there and they come back out the same way they went in, just to come out and be engaged in the same activities again. No rehabilitation, because the system don't care about them. They go in and come out better than they're recycling them again and again. Just have the same when they come back. When they leave and say, see you soon. You know what I mean? Not don't come back again, see you soon. Because they guarantee, they know that they'll be back in 6 months.
And they don't have an insurance.
They don't have an insurance. So that's the thing. So we have to help break the cycle. But some of them are so set in their own ways, and the people who control them on the streets are violent, and they go there to the territory. So we gotta start finding the younger ones and culture them, teach them, raise them up as our own. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And we could do this. It's possible, or we could do it. It's not hard, it's possible. We could change the trajectory, could change that around. And let our children become better and have better. What
they came to be.
Yes.
You know.
Nobody come here by guess.
No. Everybody has there is a destiny for each one of us.
You know what the sad reality is that even some parents can't identify the gifting in the children.
Nope.
Because they're too busy. They have children, but they're still not focusing on what the children want and build something what they know the children like to do. You know, raise a child up in the way they should grow. So when they get old, they won't depart from it. And we think that it's teaching them the Bible only. They limit it to the Bible teachings. And going to church every day. But train the child in the way it should grow. When you get old, they won't depart from it. That gift is what a child have in it. That gift, not the Bible. Everybody could read the Bible anytime. But the gift and talent is laid inside that child. That child come with fully loaded. Just for you to draw it out of him or her.
Yes, just for you to tap into it.
Yes. We miss it. And we hit them on the head. Go to church. We go to church every Sunday. Church of study God. And and we miss the gift and the talent in those children. And even when they demonstrate the gift and talent in the church put them sit down. No, you're too young for this still. You're too young. Yeah. You know what I see, and I'm not afraid to talk about it here. I see it happen.
No, it happened. It's happened over and over, Brother John.
I see it happen.
You know, kids will come and give you an idea, and you realize this child has something in them, And
Yeah.
nobody around would try and say, hey, let's see what we could do this. So you know what? We have to build on their self-esteem. We have to empower them.
Yeah.
We have to help them to overcome their insecurities,
Yeah.
encourage them with a lot of patience.
Children are very smart. They watch everything.
And,
Listen.
and to be confident, that confidence building inside of them. The broken home syndrome, we have to get them over that.
Children are quite aware. They're quite aware, Pastor Daphne, of the system of governance within and around them. They're not young children, they're young adults. Yeah. They just haven't grown yet, tall in stature.
And the internet doesn't have anything good for them,
Well, there is just where they choose to go.
They have the service, but the things, the maximum amount of things that are out there is not really to empower.
Imagine a blind man walking down the road and he has no guide, he has no cane. He could bounce into anything and everything. But if you have a cane and a guard dog, he go straight to his destiny. And we have to be that guard, that cane to that person, that young person. We have to be that guard dog to that person, so to speak, to guide them to the path of righteousness for their name, for God's sake. So they could bring out the gift, the best in them.
Bring out the thing, bring what God has in them.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And young people in church get discouraged and despondent, and they walk out of the church. Yep. Not only because of prayer, but because of the adults in the church drive children away. Because they want to hug the pulpit to prove themselves that they could know the word, but not teaching and not empowering. I see it happen. Yeah. They hug
over and over.
They want to do everything.
It's a repetitive thing.
Yeah, they want to do everything for themselves, and they're not giving the children a time to preach, to teach, because they know something. Young children, I'm talking about parenting. Parenting takes to me bigger than the mother and the father. All right. Children in school, playing in a school band, winning competition, and the same children come to your school, to your church. And the adults only want to play the music every Sunday and not giving the young people a chance who in school playing instruments on the wall stage. And they're in your church, 5, 6 of them could make a band in the church. And the adults hugging the guitar, the piano, and the drums every Sunday, and don't give those young people a chance to play the music. Can you imagine that?
And sometimes they don't even have the skill.
Not even this, they don't have the skill. Look, I'm speaking of experience. I have my daughter here. She has won 2 awards of music, back to back, designing, composing, right? And writing music. She write 10 or 15 pieces for one play. She won the award for that twice, 2018 and 2019. And in 2020, she won the Adjudicator's Award for song design and original composition of music. All right. Then she go to a church and they instead of empower her, they take the music, the piano from her and give it to an adult and pay the adult and don't even pay her a cent. You understand what I'm saying? That's how it is. And you a child who play music for his school band, blowing the saxophone, the trombone, beating the drums, playing the piano, playing the congos, everything. Just play 11 instruments. Yes? And win competition with the school, playing individual pieces for herself. And she come to church and sit down and they don't even give. Like I don't actually beg them to give her a blind. This is the problem. This is the problem. Well, even the church becomes oppressing. And oppressive.
Oppressive, not suppressing. Suppressing, that's oppression. That's oppression.
So until we start drawing out, and I say no, if I have a church, anytime I open a church on my own, one of these good days, and maybe not be a church, maybe be a community activity thing. Young people and people in my community would change. And if I have a church, nobody in the church will be broke after 5 years.
No.
Because if we pull our resources together, everybody should be okay. In 5 to 10 years, yes, we could do it together. We look at what we have. Because we find the resources, find the people, bring them in, educate them. And it is like, we have a Bible study, but we don't have work study. We culture people, study Bible, and nothing wrong with that. But there's application. Things could be applied from the Bible. We don't apply nothing. We just read it to study to show what, approve what. If you cannot,
Yourself. To prove
if you can't
yourself, yeah.
apply what you learn,
Mm.
you have not approved nothing. You don't approve of nothing.
Mhm.
You see, application is important after you study. Work, study, work.
Mhm.
If you haven't done that in church, we failed the church for 200 and something years. We have broke people, broke minded, broke ability, broke everything. Leaders trying to lead people just there, person that's in your boss, and you see it happen to yourself. See it happen around you.
yeah.
Pastors, enrich
just-
yourself and the congregation.
I watch it and I observe it and I say, my gosh, the
Pas-
old churches from way back
Mhm.
was so much more futuristic than the church of our time.
Yeah.
We're
Look,
we seem to be going backwards.
Pastor Dav, I said something last time. Somebody got vexed with me. It's just about it. If you paying $400 a week in tithes in the church, your husband paying $400 a week in church, and paying $150 a week for 40 years, and have a 300 membership in the church, paying around the average of $100 a week in tithes and offering, 300 people, right? Paying them money for 40 years in the church, give or take. When your son or your grandson is 18, the church can't give them a scholarship for $5,000? Something wrong with that picture. You know how much money that is generated?
Yeah.
Well,
Go
there's
ahead.
something wrong. The money that this is income.
Huh?
What I'm trying to say, there's nothing wrong with that system. It's how the money is used. There is
Mismanagement.
drawn up that says, well, okay, we're given this tithe. What is the church going to do for the community in me? There's nothing that's drawn up.
Exactly.
Have you discussed?
Yeah, but you have to have the thing about it is, if you're going to run a church, you have to have a list of things you got to do. Your
Exactly.
expenses and whatever.
What are the expenses?
Huh?
Some churches even have that.
No, listen, they have to the hydro, let's say the hydro. Okay. And just say, communion, maybe some snacks and stuff. But when you look at when you put the amount that you make, okay, this is my principal, this is my expensive, and then this is what's left. So what portion of it in the interim when you started, do you say, okay, we'll get the kids their annual Sunday school certificates, So if it's not there, well, what can I say?
What Pastor Daphne?
Well, John, let me just say that I know I have some of my friends and they are, evangelistic all the way, and they believe, yes, you should be given that money as a member of the church. And they said, it's like any other job. They have to get paid for being there. So the rest of the money should go to the pastor to do whatever they want to do, because this is like a regular job for them. So
Jesus was a carpenter.
Exactly.
Paul was a 10 builder. What's the point?
Exactly. You need to, there's one of the pastors that preaching in the US said, you need to go there and find a job, a real job.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't charge anybody money for coming to church and for preaching to them. Right? And this is what I think we have to get to a lot of people's heads and mindset, because that's how they think about it.
Look, I have no problem with tithe paying. I have no problem with payment in this. What I have problem is the mismanagement of funds. Look, there are some churches that don't have budgetary meeting. They don't have no weekly budgetary, a monthly, a bi-weekly, monthly meeting to discuss the budget of the church. Anything like that, right? They're just functioning. They have no system of operation, real system of operation. So the church becomes dysfunctional. And all they're asking, pay tithes. But
they do. The money goes to the build the house, the car, educate the children. That is the plan. That is
but you see,
it's nothing to do with the community.
I remember raising a concern one time, because there was a certain aspect of a budget I saw. I said, so where is X that was supposed to be allocated for that? Then I see the pastor commenting, and watch this. I had a Cadillac at the time, and I had a Lincoln here, and I had the other. So I had 3 cars in the yard. Okay? None of those 3 cars cost me $41,000 a year to maintain. 3 cars didn't cost me any kind of money to maintain. The pastor car was $41,000 for maintenance. Better buy my brand new vehicle. You know what I mean? Then paper, another $40,000 for people. You don't even have a flyer in the church on Sunday morning. You know what I'm saying? But $41,000 for people, 4,000 something for people, and all this nonsense. A computer, you have 3 computers. The pastor have one, the wife have one, the secretary have one. You have 3 computers in the church. I told you spend about $41,000 on computers, $6,000 on computers and stuff like that. I had to ask questions. You see? So when all this thing happened, it raised questions. And then you figure that you realize that the pastor was making $98,000 a year. And he was just cutting up the money in pieces so you look at what he was making with the money just to evade taxes. You see?
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
God, you give me a headache, you know.
No, I'll give you a
Because
headache. Don't worry. But that's the nonsense that happened in some
no,
churches.
but that one, you see that one is dangerous. It's
Yeah.
serious
So-
business, because you know, sometimes you don't realize that they're watching you. They'll watch you for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7, 8, 9,
Mhm.
10 years, and then pounce on you. So
Yeah.
you know that is
But
dangerous.
you know, I am not the kind of person that, you know, I always consider myself the rebel with a cause. I am not prepared. I'm not prepared to play church. You understand me?
No,
No, I'm not going to
you
play church.
cannot play church, especially in
And-
the time that we're in.
And I am the kind of person that if I see something, I'll call it out. I'm not afraid to call it out. I'm calling it out. Big, bold, and big. Because we have a responsibility to our community, and that's where, you
And to
know,
God.
children that is under our care, our oversight over children and families is of most important to God.
Yep.
And if we cannot do it, then close the church down. Close it down. Because you're not serving the purpose. You're not serving the purpose. If all we're doing is coming and somebody preach Sunday, collect and we go home, we come back next Sunday, we do the same thing over and over and over, you're defeating the purpose.
Yeah, but
communion.
who's the secretary of the church?
Mr. Daphne.
Because you remember, in a church body, and especially when you have to give an account of your money in places like Canada here, okay? You must have a secretary that takes notes.
Mhm.
You must have minutes. You must have your annual report. You must have certain things. You know, I worked in businesses when I worked with Revenue Canada. Okay, so there's certain key things you must have.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They can follow you for you. I remember I had an auditor friend I worked with. He went after a man after 36 years for $6 and put the interest on it for 36 years, Brother John. And I looked at him, I said, why did you bother? He said, you know what, Daphne, it's the principle. It was $6, he could have paid off, but he figured he would let it go. And the law says, and remember who the law came from. The law came from God. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and what unto God what is God's.
I owe Caesar some money.
I rest my case on that one there. Okay, Brother John?
I owe Caesar some money too.
I ain't talking about this no more.
I owe Caesar some money too. I have to pay Caesar his portion.
Well, you better pay Caesar his. Tell me. Anyway, I have to make sure I find my my donation, my charitable philanthropy, so that you won't have, you and Caesar ain't gonna have no business.
Yeah, I am. Tell me now 10 minutes to 1.
Yes.
I have to get back to finish up Genesis magazine for publication soon. So I'll spend about another hour or 2 on that. However,
my apologies this month.
Yeah, still wait. I have one. Yeah, I have the September one. So and the September one. Yeah.
Okay.
I finished off the August one. Can you imagine? you know, sometimes when you're doing this work, it drains you when you're alone doing all of that.
Yeah.
It's not putting a magazine together an easy thing. It's a lot of work, a lot of work. And
the graphics are coming so excitingly good, you know. I love the graphics. They're really beautiful.
And if I tell people that I have no training putting that together, people won't believe me, you know.
I saw and I looked at it,
I have no training. And no
you
formal
know
training.
what we learned. This is what this is what they called back in the day hands-on. Because remember, Brother John, before they had degrees, everything was hands-on.
I have this one thing in mind. Once you learn to read and comprehend and learn to follow instructions, you're good. The guy who did the magazine, the first 2 magazines for me, I went at his home and I sat down and watched him do this thing twice. And here we now sit down to myself, I could do that. You know what I mean? I'm saying I could do this.
You have the
so
wisdom.
I got the program and I started practicing on myself. So by third honestly, 1, 2, 3, 4. From the 4th magazine, I started doing it for myself. Big time. I do it all by myself. I do the 5th, 6th, and 7th one. All by myself.
Nice.
You know? And I just said to get the cover done. I started doing the cover for myself. I do everything. So I realized that if you learn to read, the world is an open
and
window,
you know,
open door to you.
Brother John, those skills will help a lot of the kids that are outside running around with nothing.
Yeah.
You know, you bring them in. You know the platform that you have to speak on. That's what they're doing with the young people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're doing excellent work.
I'm in for because I have a 1-page bio that my editor did. I give her something she did for me that I use as part of my. I gotta revise this whole thing because I have a whole format for if somebody invite me, the cost for coming to speak and all this stuff is in this, right? Per hour. And I was in a seminar many years ago, and they were asking how much would you charge to speak. I say probably $200. You say, well, I'll hire you every time. So so my wife then say, probably $500. Say no. So when we start going into the thing, he say if you don't charge in $25,000 an hour or more, you're not ready for this business. I say, excuse me, for 45 minutes.
Check out some of them on LinkedIn. You'll be surprised.
You can't money to charge $200,000. And you know, a friend of mine called me from
companies say it
from New York one time. So listen to this too, not this show. I was doing a presentation on Friday, Tuesday evening called Living Life by Design, where I took a session from Robert Kiyosaki book called Cash Flow Quadrant, and I do the presentation that with a family budget and stuff like that. And the things I said here. So this lady was watching the show, and she called me. She go on this and she call. I pick up the phone through Messenger, and she said, "Hi, John." And I say, "Hello." She said, "Hi, John. Yeah, do you know who is it?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you know a lady called Lee?" I said, "Yeah, I know Grandma Lee." She said, "Grandma Lee?" I said, in Canada. She said, "No, I'm calling from New York. I am Lee. Do you remember the first time you went to the movies in Grenada, little boy?" I said, "Yeah." Lee and Yvonne took me to the movie. She said, "Well, I am Lee." And I was so impressed and happy to see you doing what you're doing. My company paid $1,500 a ticket for me to go and get those kind of things what you're doing there. How much do you charge for it? I don't charge for it. I just do it on my own. She said you should get busy.
Yeah, they do. You know what? The thing about it is even training. When I looked at the budget for training over the years for me, I just couldn't get over it.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So she said to me, "You're giving this thing away for free." Yeah. People pay thousands of dollars. Companies pays lots of money. I go and sit down for 1 hour in a session, and you do the same thing in an hour. You haven't done anything less than what I went to for my company to listen to those guys for.
And you leave with a thank you. And some don't even say thank you.
So that is kind of a thing. And she said to me, "Go ahead, keep on doing it, and keep on doing it well. You will get good at it, better at it. You're doing really good." I didn't move from my chair. I sat and I watched the whole show. Just if I was in a seminar. And when I heard those things, it gave me encouragement to keep on going. And then the lady called me last week to speak at this thing for this, wanted to speak at this tea and hatchery stuff, to come in and speak for the women there and stuff like that. And the other people calling me to do this thing. Because one of the things I believe that I read a lot. I listen to a lot of people who are doing what I'm doing, and I'm learning from them. And because I've learned how to posture myself and watch how things are done, I just duplicate the process. I'm not reinventing it, I'm duplicating it. And that's what I'm doing. So I encourage young people, I'm encouraging parents to do the best you can with you, so your children could see you as their role model. And if you find someone doing something that they want to do, draw them close to that person. Let the person be the mentor. Bring tips, bring videos, and even in your car, when you're driving, plug it in. Let them listen to it. They have a choice. They're in the back seat. They can't change the music. Can't change it for 1 hour. You're driving to 5 hours down to Montreal, and pure Les Brown in the car. Zig Ziglar. They put like a music, like a motivational music on, with some positive in it, and they drive and they listen it right to Montreal. Genesis is a prime example. I use that in Genesis several times. Go in and come. When you come from the car, I say, don't turn my music. Whatever is playing, that's what I'm doing. When you start driving, whatever you're playing, that's when you go change the music.
Exactly.
But once I'm driving, anything that comes from that sound system is for you, for your benefit.
And they pick up on it, they can tell you parts of it.
Abby driving the car at me the other day, and she said, what this word mean again? I didn't ever think the music playing and the speech was going on, and Abby asking what that word mean. What he mean by that. Abby was listening the whole all Nightingale speech, and she asked me, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "What? How can I back up?" To listen. I said,
they do. They are sponges.
I think she's talking. She play when she have an iPod in the back, at the car playing. This child is listening to the radio,
Brother John.
At the same time,
children from the womb, the 6 years old are sponges.
And I'll be soaking up everything. And you're going to say something.
Yeah. Well, it's coming on to 1 o'clock, and I really have to leave you guys.
Yes. Well, we get another here.
The conversations are,
Oh, and before you go, did you get my email?
I just saw it. I've been having some problems with my phone, with my storage. And I just
but I wrote it. It was written in such a way that it's, instead of coming at you, it's like a story.
Okay, I haven't taken a look at it yet.
Take a look at it.
Yeah, I just
it's a conversation. It's like a conversation.
Okay,
it will slowly seep into the skin.
Okay. That's wonderful. I will take a look and I will get back to you, and I'll take a look at it tomorrow.
Yeah, I said I must ask you.
Okay, and before you leave, just give your closing thoughts on tonight. And then...
Well, I think you guys all said it all. I think we covered a wide range of topics. I think we just have to put a plan in place.
And get together.
Address it, yes. And what are we going to do about it?
Yeah. So we have to find a time to get together to have a quick brainstorming.
Absolutely.
And get our thinking tank heads together and figure out what's going to be. Pen and paper and coffee.
And
okay.
Coffee. Yeah. And coffee. I'm becoming an avid coffee drinker because coffee never put me to sleep. But I discovered how coffee can put me to stay awake is don't put no sugar. I've ever half a teaspoon of sugar in my coffee makes you three teaspoon, right? And make it into a kind of a syrup with hot water. And that's what makes me stay up. I can stay up for the next day, whole day the next day, if I drink it that way. I've discovered that.
You on a cocoa high.
Yes. Not even just the coffee alone. Just the coffee with no sugar, just black, just strictly black.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't sleep. You would not sleep. Oh my gosh.
I was some people
can't sleep all night.
I take if I take it now, when I take it here now, I stay right up until morning. I don't even go to bed. I get up and go to work and work for the whole day until I come back around that same time. 24 hours I could stay awake for.
And then you're gonna crash. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say good morning, guys.
Yes, good morning. Yes.
Have a good night.
All right, Pastor Daphne.
Thanks
good
for the
night.
time. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right. So have a good night, everybody. Again, thank you, Pastor Daphne. Thank you, and
You're
looking to
welcome.
see you
You're
guys
welcome.
next Thursday night. We're back
Yes.
here. And any topic you guys want to talk about, send it to me and let's talk about it. I think I ought to
All
make a flyer and put it up and send me a picture. So I'll put it on the flyer and go promote it for next week Thursday. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, this don't forget, coming up this December 10th will be our award ceremony and dinner. Red and White Affair, an award ceremony. We're giving awards to the Lydia Callis Award for community service, new author, new entrepreneur of the year, pastor of the year, listener of the year, and what's the last 6 of them I have. Six
okay.
awards given away. Every year we give away 6 to 7 awards, and we're giving them away this year again.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. So we have that going on. Every year we give away awards, so for those things. So we plan to do the same again this year. We don't want to fear. And the ticket will be about $40 per ticket. Yeah.
That's not bad.
So
You
it'd be good-
you didn't
good
put
food.
you did not put inflation onto that ticket anyway. I'll talk to you about. Bye.
All right.
Good night.
God bless. One love.
Good night, Dan. Good night, Brother
Okay.
Dan.
See you tomorrow morning.
All right.
All right.
You will.
One love.
Blessings. Okay,
right.
bye-bye.
Yes, you've been listening to Gem FM, different perspective with Sheriff, Pastor Daphne, and Ann Booker. Every Thursday night right here from 10 until 12. We go until 1 tonight. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful night. Those are listening now and listening on Facebook. Please join us every Thursday night right here on Gem FM. Again, don't forget to click on to gemfm.ca and listen to the rest of the night until the morning. 24 hours of radio programming. God bless you. Peter Tosh, can't blame the youths.
So you can't blame the youths. You can't fool the youths. You can't blame the youths of today. You can't fool the youths. You teach the youths about Christopher Columbus.
In the beginning was the Word. The Word was, and the Word was God. In the beginning, Jah created the heaven and the earth.